An 80-year-old artist created 45 new sculptures from bones and other material. Now, some of the country's most esteemed poets and musicians responded to the body of work with songs and poems that were packaged for an online presentation of the exhibition during the COVID-19 pandemic. Pitika Ntuli's solo exhibition, Azibuyele Emasisweni, The Return to the Source, curated by Ruzy Rusike, is currently exhibiting at the Durban Art Gallery until January next year. This proved to be a groundbreaking digital initiative that moved globally. The curator, Ruzy Rusike, joins us now this morning to share more. Ruzy, a very good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. Morning to you too.
It's an absolute pleasure having you join us this morning. Just take us through this exhibition. It's one of the most captivating exhibitions I've ever seen. Just take us through it and the inspiration behind it.
So originally it was conceptualized for the Grahamstown Arts Festival, but then COVID-19 hit, and then we had to rethink about how it was that we're going to present this exhibition.
Okay.
So then we pushed it to online, but then by putting it online, we decided then that it wasn't enough to just exhibit the bones, but to actually call upon the spirit, which they are. And we then collaborated with different thought leaders, and then through that collaboration, different narratives started coming about.
Yeah.
And then from there, then with the actual exhibition that you see, the physical exhibition, then we brought forward the voices that actually contributed, like Simpiwe Dana, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, Homi Baba, and just important leaders in terms of what it is when we think about content, and not just content, but actually artistic narratives.
Yeah.
So that's what the exhibition was about. It was about an exploration about stories.
Okay, yeah, it is definitely about stories, but what's your understanding of the significance of using bones, like bones being the bedrock of this exhibition?
So usually when you think of art, you always think of paintings or bronze sculptures. But when you think of bones and African bones, it's always put into this thing of looking at it from an ethnographic point of view.
Got you,
So
got
by
you.
using bones, it's by saying that this is a truly African story. This is about our heritage, and essentially what it is that we try to do, or what it is that we actually successfully did, is to personify African stories, but through mediums. And using the medium of bone, we were able to globally reach different audiences and challenge what it is when we think about art, but also sculpture. And that's why we won the Global Fine Art Award for online exhibition, because of that idea of challenging what it is when we think of concepts of art, but also the concept of medium as well.
Now, in your quest of personifying African stories, as you've mentioned, let's talk about the kinds of conversations that you as a team of curators had in terms of what you wanted to achieve through this exhibition.
So I wish there was a team. It was a very small team, but it was challenging time, and how we understand time, and how time has been put into different brackets of understanding.
Yeah.
So with this, we expanded it, because obviously Pitika and I are of different generations, and with Prof, because of where he also comes from and his story, and where I come from and my story, and the different collaborators, we try to challenge what it is when we think of space, for when you think of the online platform, and what it is when we platform artworks, especially artworks that are imbued with different understandings, when you look at the beads, when you look at just the materials, and also when you think of time in terms of how different concepts of art has been defined. So I think that at the end of the day, what we achieved was to challenge and to re-establish a new way of speaking about African art, but also art that is produced here, because there's a whole entire market right now that is investing in African stories. But at the end of the day, we need to be the ones that anchor those stories. So that's the whole idea, is to anchor time, but also reconceptualize what it is when we think of time.
You know, I've been side-eyeing some of the pieces that we are showing on the screens right now. Just take us through some of them and the kinds of stories that these pieces are telling.
So some of the bones are actually made out of basically an elephant, and the elephant has got its own sense of symbolism within African identity as well. So with the elephant, I think that when some of the, because obviously when we brought it then to Oliveness Art Museum, which is predominantly an Afrikaans community, when they saw it, people were a bit nervous because they were like, what will it mean if we actually present bones within this space? But then I think that when the children saw the elephant and saw actually their body in relationship to it, it does something spiritual. And then also with the sound of just Prof just reciting poetry and just the spoken word in relationship to that, I think it's something that becomes very sublime in how we actually start to think of ourselves in space, but also think of ourselves within the spoken word. So I think that at the end of the day, with the elephant, it's just something that goes beyond what it is when we think of ourselves, because we always try to anchor ourselves within our body, but we also spirit, and spirit is breath. So I like the tone of the exhibition because it starts to unravel yourself, but unravel yourself within what you also think of yourself as well.
Right.
So
Now, Ruzy, do you think we should view these pieces the way they are, or is there room for for us to strike a personal resonance, as it were, in these particular pieces, or maybe have a different focus or perspective with regards to these pieces? Are these pieces abstract?
So I think that's what the collaborators were able to personify, that you can be able to extract your own way of looking at an object.
Okay.
And I think that usually with art, people always have an idea that this is what it's supposed to say, but that's not the case sometimes. Sometimes you should also, like a mirror, be able to see yourself within it. But the acoustic language of it is what then the collaborators were able to bring out of the bones, the spirit that they were able to actually identify with. And I think that there's Napo was able to do something so beautiful with her collaboration, and I urge people to go onto the Mara's Gallery platform because we still have the online exhibition there, and then with the online exhibition, you can actually hear how actually the collaborators were able to see themselves within the object. So sometimes we get intimidated by space, but that's why I always say that within time, we can actually unpack what it is, because you're not supposed to see time as linear.
Right.
It's not supposed to be something that is spoken, but it's supposed to evoke how you see yourself in a space.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, Ruzy, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so
Nice
much for
saying
joining
to
us.
you.
And as I said earlier on, this is one of the most captivating exhibitions. I mean, who'd have thought of adding sound into an exhibition?
Yes,
Gosh.
but that's what we do.
Right,
We've always
right.
done that. But please go and see the exhibition at Durban Art Gallery.
Definitely,
And yeah.
definitely. All right, lovely chatting to you.
Okay,
We
thank
just
you.
spoke to curator of Azibuyele Emasisweni in return to the Source exhibition, Ruzy Rusike.